right, chapter 9. So we're talking about lighting and sound today. Things that when you walk into a show and with a consciousness to think about them, they really stand out, but sometimes they can escape your notice if you're not really thinking about it, especially if they have done their job and they truly complement what's happening on stage. It looks very organic. I love how they've broken down here the history of lighting. Literally, it goes through talking about when we were doing it with candles, well, actually outside, because candles were very scarce, but starting outside in the daylight, moving into candles, and you kind of click each one of these. It's really great. Going into oil lamps. I think it's right here. Modern fixtures using like subtle reflectors, light becomes more efficient. Starting to use it, the same kind that we're using today. I think, oh, it was back. Yeah, the London Savoy Theatre installs the world's first electric lighting system. So that was in the Savoy in London. That's the first time we saw electric lighting used, and that was, what are we, 140 years ago? I mean, it's really fairly recent when you think about history at large. Um, but I love that, kind of showing the history of how we've come and how much technology really does play into theater. And these are a whole bunch of different companies. If you're interested in what's going on now, what's the most modern technology out there, those are some great companies that you can check out. All right, so the objectives when lighting something. Okay, provide visibility, obviously. We don't want to be in the dark. Sometimes you don't want people to necessarily be seen on stage, and so you can accompany that too. You can't turn the lights completely off. That's dangerous and very silly. So we want people to be seen. And then sometimes when you have changes going on, you want to take the lights down to a blue so that they can move things around. But visibility, obviously, is number one. Establish the time and place. If it's daytime, bright lights. If it's nighttime, blue lights or low lights. So that helps you a lot as a viewer to be able to establish, because plays could take place anytime or place. Establish your mood. And I like that picture. It's kind of creepy. I don't want that girl to go up them stairs. It looks kind of dangerous. But if you have a show that you want, again, to be very solemn, you're going to use your lights to paint something that's very solemn. It's going to make the audience really kind of introflect a little bit. The new Harry Potter show, it's actually a two-part show. You buy a ticket to one, you automatically have a ticket to the second night, and you have to go back twice to finish, in order to finish up the entire story. Dark. It is, because what's going on in the play is kind of dark and a bit scary. Reinforce the theme of the production. It's got to complement the action on the stage. If you've got a bunch of people talking about how happy they are or singing and dancing about that, you're probably not going to put them in dark, dreary colors. And likewise, if there's a very serious moment going on, you are going to use lights that are going to reflect that mood. Provide focus on stage and create visual compositions. So this is where it gets into kind of painting. You want the audience to be drawn to the stage. They shouldn't be looking around, hopefully not checking their phone too much. They should automatically, without even trying, be drawn to watch the stage. It should capture their attention. And using different lights and filters and effects, you can create more of a compositional look to where it's really nice. You see here in the front, we've got a nice kind of blue spot, and in the back you've got warmer colors. They're slightly in shadow, but complementing, so that our focus is really here, but we can see the players in the background. All right. Rhythm and model the form. So again, look at these. I love these costumes right here, because I mean, this is like a goldeny or green kind of a light. It's going to pull out those colors. If you switch it to a red, these little cute kids could look like demons. I mean, you can totally change the look of your actors just by changing what kind of lights you're using. And this goes on to the qualities of light design. So if you are excited about things like this, the intensity, color, distribution, form, movement, these are going to draw your attention. Those are things that, again, in your critique, you're going to be looking at, thinking about. Don't forget your little assignment there. And here are the collaboration process for the lighting designer, things they have to think about. These are things that they have to ask either of themselves or of others to determine what direction their lighting design is going to take. And here's some lighting terminology. This is really nice because it gives you some good pictures, and you might have been, in the theater and recognized some of these. This is one that most of our, students will work with. That and the Fresnel. That's kind of your basic. Most theaters are going to have those, along with some floodlights. And after, and some of these are pieces of lights. But the more advanced stuff, you know, you're going to need a theater with a bigger budget to get the really cool toys. Costs money. These are a bunch of people that would work with your lighting designer. I love the pyrotechnician. You're working with flame, you need a pyrotechnician, someone who understands open flame, or you know, things like that. So they're just, depending on what show you're doing, this is going to fluctuate, but important roles all. Now we're moving kind of into sound. It doesn't really break it up right here. It just sort of says, let us look at sound design next. Not really a title right here, but we're moving into sound design. Things that our sound design people have to think about. The microphones. One of the most annoying things when you go to see a show is when you can't hear the actor. You automatically just don't care anymore. Something inside you goes, oh, well, I'm never going to understand this, so I'm just going to check out. So when your actors don't have good microphones, it's really annoying. Or you get that speaker that's like, I don't need a mic, and they don't use it. And then you can't hear them. It's so annoying. So microphones are very important. All of these other things are needed to kind of make everything blend together. This talks a bit about sound effects. So back in the day, you know, maybe at Shakespeare's Theater, you might have a cannonball that would roll down a wooden plank, and that would give you some sound of thunder. But now we have, of course, all kinds of files that can sound like anything you could possibly imagine. You're going to be able to come up with a sound file. And back when I was, you know, young, to make a sound effect, you had to have a literal tape that had sound effects on it, and you'd have to splice it and tape it together and pray that it worked. But now, of course, we have little files, and you could just do a trigger of a button. So we've come a long way. All right. Objectives here. Reinforcing the audio component. Number one, the voices of your performers, if they have a voice. They need to be mic'd and heard. And sometimes you can hear like maybe an echo. An echo on an actor's mic can add just a really neat, creepy effect to it. In Christmas Carol, or Jacob Marley, when he comes out of the fireplace, has an echoey voice, and it's just incredibly creepy, and it reverberates off the walls and gives you that awesome feeling inside. It's got to reinforce the action. If you've got tap dancing on stage, you're going to need mics to pick up those taps, because unless your stage is completely hollow underneath and you don't have a very full house, you're not going to hear it. So you need mics to pick up your tap dancing. Just an example. So then qualities of sound design. So if you're an audiophile, maybe these things stick out to you anyway when you're just listening to tracks or movies. My daughter can pick out when she's watching a movie, and she can go, that wasn't real recording, they dubbed that. Like, she's really good at picking that out. She's gotten a little bit nerdy about that. But it is an art. And some people like to dub all their stuff, and some people don't like to dub anything with movies. But you can kind of tell also when sound isn't balanced, where the people's words get really soft, and then the sound gets really loud, and it doesn't complement each other. Those things bother us now. So frequency, amplitude, harmonic, all these ones are things that you have to think about when you are determining if the sound is of good quality. All the things that the sound designer needs to kind of think about walking in, what's important, what obstacles can they see that they're automatically going to have to get over. Again, remember, if you're doing something at like a warehouse, it's not a normal theater, it's not wired for sound, and you're going to have echoes like nobody's business, maybe some great acoustics though, but you got to learn how to work with those so that they help and aren't a hindrance. So those are a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration. Usually you're going to have a sound person that's familiar with the place that you're performing in, but sometimes not. Or if you have a touring show. All right, here's your Chapter 9 quiz. Let's make sure we get that done. No assignment today. So, yep, this was sound and lighting. Thanks so much, guys.